Some of you know me.
I think we all know you, Fiona.
Some of you know I style things. Some of you actually know what I do. And some of you have actually used my services, which is fantastic. But little known facts about Fiona Bay, loads of them. But I am actually a cheese expert. I am quite genuinely a cheese expert. Some years ago, I had a chain of stores called Wells Stores. If you Google my father-in-law, now sadly deceased, if you do a Google image search, you actually get a plate of cheese, because he is responsible for the fact that you can buy fantastic cheeses in this country routinely. You can go to Waitrose, my deal. You can go to Marks and Spencer, you can go to any one of tens of thousands of wonderful specialist stores and buy cheese. I came into the business in 1988 and I'd only ever eaten cheddar. My first day in our Henley shop, I had a 30-foot counter literally full of cheese. And I thought, well, the only thing to do is to eat it and make notes. So I did, and there started my passion. My first customer, and those of you who do know me know that I'm quite good at name dropping. My first customer came into the shop and I was like a rabbit caught in the headlights because it was Benny from ABBA. Who asked me in his lovely Swedish way what I could recommend. So I thought, well, I've eaten those five, so I'll recommend one of those. I'm not involved in the cheese business anymore. I haven't been for nearly 20 years. But I do absolutely love it, and I do have a little party trick which I'm going to share with you today, and it isn't a fetish. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 6 cheeses that I've hand-selected myself, and I'm going to match them to the personalities in the room, because like wine, every cheese has its own personality. So I'm going to start by holding this up. Okay, and I promise I won't shake hands with anybody until I've washed them later, and I did wash my hands before I did this. Right, does anybody know what this is? Roquefort, absolutely fantastic. Who knows where Roquefort comes from? France. And who knows the really unusual thing about Roquefort?
They use maggots to create the...
No, that's just disgusting.
Very good.
It's actually matured in caves, in damp caves, and it naturally glues. It's a used milk cheese, and it's very, very unusual. And I know who my Roquefort is, and it's actually the person that gave me the idea to do this, and he's filming me right now. Rather unusual. Possibly enjoys living in dark places. never ceases to surprise. It's Russell Hewer. Okay, so secondly, my second cheese is this. Now this is actually my very favourite cheese on earth, so whoever gets this is in for, I mean, so many treats. This is called Vacherin de Mondor. And it comes from the High Alps. It's actually, I've got its little well, its big brother here as well. It's made when they release the cows onto the new pasture. And if you want to taste the pasture in a cheese, eat this. But what's really unusual about it is that it's a wash-crusted cheese. So they wash the crust with a brine solution in order to get this crust. But they then force it into a ring of yew bark, and it gives it a special sort of wave effect. So it's a very designer cheese. So who am I going for my favourite cheese, which is designer? It's soft on the tongue, unashamedly sexy. It's Lucy Lou! Yay!
How do you know she's soft on the tongue?
Because we're in the South Bucks sex. It's shameless. Right, okay. At the other end of the spectrum, which I also do love, is the goat.
Let's leave the room, Roger.
Do you know, you've given everybody a clue. There are lots and lots of goats out there. I've been married to a goat, actually. But this one actually is particularly nice. It's a semi-soft, which is reasonably unusual. It's a little crusty. It's a little crusty on the outside. A little unshaven. A little unkept.
But if you squish it,
Please don't.
I was hoping you would. Oh, God. No, this is actually an English goat's cheese. People tend to associate goat's cheese with what you get in warm salads. That's only part of the story. There is actually a particularly nice French goat's cheese, little soft one, which is called crottin. If anybody in the room knows what crottin means, it is slightly off-putting. So it actually means little poo. But it is perfectly delicious, and that is generally what you'll get in your warm goat's cheese salad. This is not a salad cheese, this is a winter cheese. And you're absolutely right, it is Roger. It's Roger because it's slightly unkempt on the outside. It's Roger because he's a little goat and a bit hard-headed. But Roger, I'm presenting you with the goat's cheese.
you are too kind.
I am kind. You're absolutely right. Now this is a northern cheese called Ribblesdale, but it's the dark smoky. Really smoky. It's a very it's not a subtle smoke. It's quite intense. And I do have somebody in mind for this. It's a very unusual cheese. It's quite sharp. It's slightly off the wall. And Phil Strachan. And what I need you to do is rebrand this cheese because it's my top tip for next year. Okay. This is the brother of the Vacherin. This is a Comte, and this is also made up in the mountains, and it's from the same family as an Emmental, a Gruyere, a Beaufort. All of those cheeses, they're mountain cheeses, and they're made to survive actually. So they have quite tough outsides, and in fact I nearly killed myself cutting an Emmental once with a cheese wire. Nobody had explained to me that that's not how you cut it. So my rowing career followed thereafter because I'm so strapping at the end of it with cutting these Emmentals with a cheese wire. But they're quite soft inside. So the other thing that's quite unusual about Swiss cheeses or the mountain French cheeses is that unlike a cheddar, which we all know about in this country, the kind of the French equivalent, which would be this, the curds are brought almost to boiling point before they're cut and the whey's taken away, and you get a sweetness on the palate. So this is a survivor. Okay, this is a cheese that will last. This is a cheese that will stay the course. But it's quite a sweetie. Who is that cheese? Simon Thornton. And last but not least, this is called a triple creme cheese. This is what I would actually call it's the gentlest of cheeses. It's made with, it's made it's made as a cream cheese, and it's enriched 2 or 3 times with more and more cream. Okay, so it's pretty deadly stuff, but it's very quietly spoken. It's gentle. It's shamelessly luxurious, and it would be my version of personal services, Terry. Just a bit of fun for you all. If anybody actually does want to talk to me about cheese, or if you want to read this is not a sales pitch because he has actually been dead since 2001. my late father-in-law Patrick Rance wrote 2 fantastic books. One's called The French Cheese Book, and the other is called The Great British Cheese Book. We're nearly 10 years on from his death, and I edited The French Cheese Book 10 years before that. They're both still in print, they're both still available on Amazon, and they are fantastic Christmas gifts. And I think that that's what I want. I want to have something that is a legacy after I'm gone, that, you know, somebody can stand up and say, you know, wow, she really was an expert. There aren't many out there, but my dad-in-law was. Thank you. Any questions?
I've spent a lot of time in Ludlow, and I know there's a lot of new cheeses. Are you going to update those books?
We've talked about it on and off. I mean, you have to bear in mind as well, probably not a little known fact because I'm so shamelessly self-broadcasting.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Comes as a shock, doesn't it?
I'm no longer involved in the industry. Every so often, people say to me, "Why don't you do that?" And I did absolutely love it. It wouldn't probably fall to me. Possibly to one of his 7 children, but
Oh wow!
Yeah, oh yeah. He was a busy man.
Is he now?
He's actually he used to. Do you know? He was. He had 7 children, and he was often interviewed from his bed. He gave interviews to the Times, to the, you know, to all the national newspapers from his bed. He was not because he couldn't get out of it, just because he couldn't be bothered. So, any other questions? I've stunned everybody.
No. Thank you very much, Fiona. Well done.